Throughout life, first impressions matter a lot, especially in video games. For a platformer like Donkey Kong Country, the first level serves as both a tutorial and a showcase of the game's identity. This first level is the player's first glimpse into this brand new world, the mechanics, the tone, and everything that will come to define this experience. Rare's Donkey Kong Country from 1994 is renowned for many reasons. Obviously, the visuals, the music, the gameplay. However, much of its success and iconicness, whatever, can be attributed to its opening level, Jungle Hijinxs. I want to explore how Jungle Hijinxs exemplifies this brilliant game's design and how it introduces players to its core mechanics and creates a vastly immersive atmosphere and sets the stage for the adventure you're about to embark on. In this first level, Rare had to do a lot. Jungle Hijinxs was designed to be a statement and an immediate demonstration of the game's ambition. To me, it had to do three things simultaneously while also doing those three things perfectly. It had to, 1, introduce the gameplay mechanics, 2, showcase the game's graphics and the sound design, and 3, immerse players in this brand new, fully realized world of Donkey Kong. Rare's success in achieving these goals is why Jungle Hijinks remains one of the most iconic first levels, going all the way back to World 1, Stage 1 in the original Super Mario Bros. One of the greatest strengths that lies within Jungle Hijinks is its ability to teach the player without resorting to any explicit tutorials or text boxes, anything of that sort. The level starts with Donkey Kong emerging from his treehouse, a detail that immediately establishes his home and ties the player to this world. The treehouse contains an optional collectible if you go back in, obviously one of the red life balloons, which subtly rewards exploration, going back to the very first part of the very first level, and teaches players that curiosity is very much rewarded in this first Donkey Kong Country game and every DKC game moving forward. The first stretch of land is flat and devoid of enemies, giving players a safe space to experiment with movement, jumping, running, ground pounding, anything that you're going to have to do throughout the next 2 hours, 3 hours, however long it takes you to beat this game. The appearance of the first Naughty, the beavers, if you don't know that they're called Naughties, allows players to test Donkey Kong's jump attack as well as his ground pound. And then obviously you have the barrels and you have the throwing mechanics, and it's all introduced to you in this very first level. Jungle Hijinks really is kind of a celebration of sorts of this entire game because it's kind of almost like a greatest hits. It has so many of the mechanics that are introduced and used later on in the game in this very first level. The level's pacing is 100% deliberate, and it gives players time to absorb every single new mechanic that's introduced to them before layering on additional complexity. By the time you've reached the first bonus room, players have already mastered the basics of movement, combat, and exploration. This goes back to, like I said earlier, the first level in the original Super Mario Bros., the perfect tutorial. Another fundamental mechanic introduced in Jungle Hijinks is the ability to switch between Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. The level provides ample opportunities to showcase their differences. Donkey Kong is stronger and can defeat certain enemies that Diddy just simply can't. And Diddy is faster and he's more agile as well. The placement of enemies like Clump, which only Donkey Kong can defeat, reinforces this distinction. Most people that I know in the Donkey Kong sphere play as Diddy, just simply because, despite Donkey Kong being able to defeat the bigger enemies, Diddy is faster and a little bit more precise in his jumps. This dual character dynamic adds a lot of depth and sets Donkey Kong Country apart from other platformers of this time. Jungle Hijinks also subtly encourages players to experiment with both characters, laying the foundation for more complex challenges later on. Jungle Hijinks showcases this technological leap of 3D graphics immediately. The lush jungle environment is vibrant and detailed and has layers of parallax scrolling that creates a sense of depth. The swaying palm trees, the dynamic lighting effects, every element of the level feels alive and fresh. One particularly striking detail occurs when Donkey Kong exits his treehouse. The camera briefly pans to reveal the expansive jungle, giving players a moment to marvel at the world before them. This cinematic touch was rare for platforms at this time, no pun intended, and signaled that Donkey Kong Country was absolutely something special. Jungle Hijinxs' auditory elements are just as impressive as the visuals are. Again, just like I mentioned in every single video that I make, David Wise, he created a masterpiece of atmospheric sound design here. The track begins with a very relaxed, tropical melody that evokes the tranquility of the jungle, but as the level progresses and enemies appear and the mechanics get more hectic, the music shifts subtly and adds layers of tension without ever losing its sense of rhythm and adventure. The sound effects on top of the music further enhance the experience. Every single sound feels purposeful and polished, and together the music and the sound effects create a incredibly immersive auditory landscape that draws players deeper into the game's world. While Jungle Hijinks begins with a sense of calm and familiarity, it quickly establishes the stakes of the adventure. The banana hoard, Donkey Kong's prized possession, is missing. It's obviously stolen by King K. Rool and his army, the Kremlings. This very simple yet effective setup provides ample motivation for the player and sets the tone for the rest of the game. From its very first level, Donkey Kong Country emphasizes exploration and the secrets. Jungle Hijinks contains multiple hidden bonus rooms, some of which require clever use of barrels or precise jumps to access. These secrets not only reward players with extra lives and bananas, but also encourage them to think outside the box, or outside the barrel. This design philosophy permeates the entire game, making Jungle Hijinks a microcosm of what's to come. If it wasn't already obvious, I think that Jungle Hijinks is just an exceptional first level. Quite honestly, it's a blueprint for effective game design, to me. The influence of this level can be seen in countless other platformers that followed, like Rayman and Shovel Knight. By prioritizing intuitive mechanics, immersive world building, rewarding exploration, and just throwing the player to the wolves, literally, Rare created a level that continues to be studied and celebrated by game designers and players and content creators like myself. Even decades later, Jungle Hijinks remains a standout example of how to craft a first level that hooks players and sets the stage for an unforgettable adventure. It is a testament to the power of thoughtful design and a shining example of why Donkey Kong Country remains so beloved to so many of us. The way that the level introduces player to the core mechanics of the entire game with elegance and subtlety and immerses the player in a visually stunning and sonically rich world, it's beyond me how they were able to accomplish all of this, especially on the Super Nintendo. By blending accessibility with depth, Rare created a first level that appeals to every single player, no matter the age, no matter the skill level, the experience, nothing, and it keeps them coming back for more. As the gateway to one of gaming's most beloved franchises, Jungle Hijinks could not be a more perfect first level. It's a reminder of what makes video games special. The ability to transport players to new worlds, challenge their skills, spark their imaginations, and just take players on it might not be the longest adventure, it might not be a 30-hour epic, but even if it can allow the player to escape for just a few hours into a world to try to bring back some bananas, it's worth it. And for that reason, Jungle Hijinks will forever hold its place as one of the greatest first levels in gaming history.